There are moments in life when the very ground beneath us seems to give way. Not a gentle tremor, but a seismic shift that leaves us disoriented, questioning everything we thought we knew. We call these moments crises, breakdowns, or simply rock bottom. But what if these profound dislocations, these periods of intense inner turmoil, are not signs of failure, but rather the most potent indicators of an impending, radical transformation? What if, as Carl Jung meticulously observed, the most dangerous discovery isn't something external, but the realization that you have just survived the soul's most arduous trial? Jung spent decades delving into the depths of the human psyche, studying dreams, myths, ancient rituals, and the shattered lives of those who sought his help. He wasn't searching for easy answers or comforting platitudes. What he unearthed was a truth both unsettling and profoundly liberating. The truth, as he famously stated, does not console, it transforms. This isn't mere theory. It's a map for those already navigating a landscape they don't yet understand. A guide for anyone who feels a fundamental shift within, a crumbling of old certainties, and a deep resonance with a process that defies conventional explanation. If you're here, listening to these words, it's because a part of you recognizes this territory. And in the Jungian journey, recognition is always the beginning. Before we delve deeper, a brief note. Many who follow this channel are undergoing profound internal processes, silent shifts, and cycles of ending and beginning that defy easy categorization. For those seeking to explore beyond this video, I've compiled several PDF guides inspired by Jungian psychology. You'll find the links in the pinned comment and description. Jung understood that the soul, at certain junctures, imposes a profound test. He didn't label it punishment or misfortune, but rather an intrinsic part of an ancient process, one woven into the myths and narratives of every culture, a universal journey of true growth. This trial arrives unannounced, often manifesting as a profound loss, a sudden collapse with no apparent external cause, or a deepening silence within that eventually overflows into unexpected areas of life. The most unsettling sign of this trial, the one almost universally misidentified while in its midst, is the sensation that something fundamental within you has died. Not the persona you present to the world, not the version of yourself at work or in casual conversation, but something far older, something that underpinned your very existence. A core belief about who you are, what life should be, the silent contract you held with reality. When this collapses, everything else seems to crumble with it. Jung termed this process individuation, but not in the gentle self-help sense often misconstrued. Individuation is not a smooth path of self-discovery punctuated by pleasant insights and linear growth. It is, in many respects, a demolition. It is the ego confronted with forces it never asked to meet, compelled to negotiate with the vast, often terrifying expanse of the unconscious. The forced entry into this territory is precisely what most people call a crisis. Imagine an elaborate armor you've spent years constructing. Each difficult experience, each disappointment, each version of yourself you abandon to adapt, all forged into metal, into protection, creating distance between you and potential harm. This armor works, for a time, remarkably well. You learn to detach, to anticipate blows, to move forward without looking back. So effective does it become that you begin to mistake it for yourself, forgetting it's a construct. You come to believe that this hardness, this distance, this relentless forward momentum is your true nature. And then, the soul decides it's time, not gently, not logically. The soul simply begins to dissolve the armor from within. And the first sensation, as it yields, is not relief, but terror. For without it, you no longer know who you are. Jung observed this phenomenon repeatedly in his patients. The crisis seemingly external, a failed relationship, a lost job, a devastating diagnosis, a profound betrayal, was often not the root cause of the inner collapse, but merely the trigger. What was truly unfolding was a profound realization. The psyche, the I constructed until that point, was no longer substantial enough to sustain the life that was yet to come. The armor had to fall, and the process of its falling, while it occurs, does not resemble growth. It appears as defeat. This is the untold truth. The soul's most arduous trial does not feel like a trial while you are within it. It feels like failure, regression, a wrong turn, a loss of something you should have guarded better. It feels as though you are somehow less capable, less resilient, less whole than those around you appear to be. This comparison is particularly cruel in such moments, for the process of individuation is profoundly solitary. Not because no one cares, but because no one can traverse it for you. And very few around you can truly recognize what they are witnessing when they look upon someone in the midst of this journey. What they perceive is a breakdown. What is actually happening, however, is an opening. Jung's work, rooted in a vast understanding of mythology, anthropology, and philosophy, provides the framework for understanding this. He saw these crises not as aberrations, but as the psyche's inherent drive towards wholeness, a process he called the transcendent function at work, mediating between conscious and unconscious. He distinguished this from mere ego development, emphasizing that individuation is about becoming the unique individual you are meant to be, integrating all aspects of the self, not just the socially acceptable ones. Imagine a porcelain vase sealed for years. Inside, something needs air, needs space, placed there before the vase was closed, growing while the exterior remained rigid. Eventually, the internal content exerts enough pressure and the vase cracks. To an outsider, the vase is broken. To one who understands what was contained within, the vase has simply fulfilled its purpose. It held something that needed to be released. And the moment of cracking was the moment of fulfillment, not failure. The danger, then, lies not in the cracking itself, but in the misinterpretation of it. The danger is believing the external appearance of breakage is the ultimate reality, rather than a necessary stage in a deeper unfolding. The consequences of misinterpreting this profound internal shift are severe. If we resist this process, if we cling desperately to the old structures, the old identity, we risk what Jung called psychic inflation, or neurosis. We might attempt to fill the void with external distractions, excessive work, superficial relationships, constant stimulation. These are not solutions. They are evasions, delaying the inevitable and often leading to a deeper, more entrenched suffering. The psyche, in its wisdom, will continue to press for integration. The river will find its new course, with or without our conscious cooperation. The true peril is to remain stuck in the illusion of control, to mistake the temporary chaos for permanent destruction, and thus to miss the profound opportunity for authentic self-realization that this difficult trial presents. The danger is to mistake the necessary dismantling of the old for the absence of a future, rather than the fertile ground for a new, more integrated self to emerge. The soul's arduous trial manifests in myriad ways, yet Jung observed recurring patterns, archetypal expressions of this profound internal reorientation. It's not a monolithic experience, but a deeply personal journey with common signposts. One such manifestation is a profound loss of interest in things that once defined you. This isn't clinical depression, though the distinction can be subtle. It's not generalized apathy that flattens all experience. Rather, it's a more precise, almost surgical disengagement. It's as if a part of you simply refuses to continue pretending that certain things matter, when in truth, they ceased to matter long ago, and you simply hadn't paused to notice. The career that once provided identity begins to feel hollow. Future plans, once so clear, now seem to belong to a person you no longer fully recognize. Conversations that once sufficed now leave a nameless hunger. You leave social gatherings more exhausted than you arrived, not because the people are inherently bad, but because that type of interaction no longer reaches where you are. Jung would describe this as a reorientation of the psychic libido, not merely sexual energy, but vital life force. The energy that once flowed in certain directions begins to withdraw, and when it withdraws, you feel the void where there was once flow. This void initially feels like loss. It feels as though you are becoming a lesser version of yourself. But what is happening is the opposite. The energy is accumulating, reorganizing, preparing to flow in a direction that is not yet clear, not yet named, and which you cannot yet articulate when asked what you want from life. In this phase of reorganization, absence is necessary. The void is not the enemy. It is the condition. The dangers inherent in this profound internal shift are not external threats, but rather internal pitfalls that can derail the process of individuation. Jung meticulously cataloged these, understanding that recognizing them is the first step toward navigating them. Here are some of the specific dangers. The illusion of regression. The overwhelming feeling that you are failing, regressing, or losing ground. This is perhaps the most insidious danger, as it directly contradicts the true nature of the process. Social alienation. The growing chasm between your internal experience and the external world's expectations. This can lead to profound loneliness and a sense of being misunderstood, as few can truly grasp the depth of your transformation. Unacknowledged rage. A diffuse, unaddressed anger that seems to well up without a clear target. Jung understood this as the shadow reacting to the pressure of integration, a vital but often destructive force if not consciously engaged. Loss of meaning. The collapse of old belief systems and values, leaving a void that can feel terrifyingly empty. Without a new framework, this can lead to existential despair. Premature closure. The temptation to prematurely end the process by adopting new, rigid belief systems or external identities that offer false comfort, thus avoiding the deeper, more challenging work of true integration. Psychic inflation reversed. As Jung described, if the ego resists becoming permeable to the self, it can rigidify further, building higher walls and seeking elaborate rationalizations to avoid the necessary descent. This leads to a life lived on the surface, disconnected from one's deeper truth. The lure of the known, the powerful urge to return to old patterns, even if they were unfulfilling, simply because they offer a sense of familiarity and control in the face of overwhelming uncertainty. These dangers are not to be underestimated. They are the trials within the trial, the tests of courage and perseverance that determine whether the soul's arduous journey leads to genuine transformation or to a more entrenched form of suffering. So how does one navigate this treacherous terrain, these profound internal shifts that feel more like demolition than development? Jung offers not a quick fix, but a systematic approach, a conscious engagement with the psyche's inherent wisdom. This is the path of individuation, a process of becoming whole, not by eliminating our shadows, but by integrating them. It is a journey of self-discovery that demands courage, patience, and a willingness to confront the unknown within. Jung's work provides a guide, a systematic approach to navigate this profound internal reorientation. It's a process of conscious engagement, a collaboration with the psyche's inherent wisdom, leading not to a return to a former state, but to a more integrated, authentic self. This path involves several crucial phases. Phase 1. Confronting the shadow. This is the initial, often painful recognition of those aspects of ourselves we have repressed, denied, or projected onto others. It's the acknowledgement of our dark side, our anger, our fears, our unfulfilled desires. Jung emphasized that this isn't about eliminating the shadow, but about bringing it into conscious awareness, understanding its origins, and integrating its energy rather than letting it operate autonomously from the unconscious. Techniques here include dream analysis, active imagination, and honest self-reflection. Phase 2. Engaging the anima/animus. For Jung, the anima, the feminine principle in men, and animus, the masculine principle in women, represent the contrasexual aspects of the psyche. This phase involves recognizing and integrating these inner figures, which often appear in dreams or projections onto others. By understanding these inner counterparts, we can achieve a more balanced and complete psychological functioning, moving beyond rigid gender roles and expectations. This might involve exploring creative pursuits, developing empathy, or asserting one's will in new ways. Phase 3. Encountering the self. This is the core of individuation, the realization of the self as the central archetype of order and wholeness within the psyche. The self is not the ego. It is a larger guiding principle that encompasses both conscious and unconscious. It often manifests symbolically in dreams as a mandala, a wise old man or woman, or a divine child. This phase involves surrendering the ego's need for absolute control and trusting the self's inherent wisdom to guide the process. Practices like deep meditation, symbolic work, and maintaining a dialogue with the unconscious are vital here. Phase 4. Integration and adaptation. This final phase is not an endpoint, but a continuous process of integrating the insights gained from the unconscious into conscious life. It involves adapting to the new, more authentic self that emerges, and finding ways to express this wholeness in relationships, work, and engagement with the world. It's about living the individuation, not just experiencing it. This requires ongoing self-reflection, ethical decision-making, and a willingness to remain open to further growth and transformation. This is not a linear progression, but a spiral, with each turn bringing deeper understanding and integration. It is a lifelong commitment to becoming who you truly are, a journey of profound self-discovery and transformation. To truly grasp the significance of this journey, we can look to those who walked it, both successfully and tragically. Consider the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. His profound insights into the human condition, his radical questioning of established values were born from an intense, often agonizing confrontation with his own unconscious. He dared to look into the abyss, as he famously put it. Yet without the structured framework of Jungian individuation, without the conscious integration of his shadow and the guiding principle of the self, his journey ultimately led to a tragic psychic collapse. His brilliance was undeniable, but his inability to contain the immense forces he unleashed within himself serves as a stark example of the dangers of an unguided descent. In contrast, Jung himself provides a powerful example of successful navigation. Following his break with Freud, Jung entered a period of intense inner turmoil, a confrontation with the unconscious that lasted for years. He meticulously documented this journey in his private journals, later known as the Red Book. He deliberately engaged with the voices, images, and figures that emerged from his deepest psyche, not dismissing them as madness, but treating them as objective realities. He built sandcastles, carved stones, and painted, allowing his unconscious to express itself symbolically. This disciplined, courageous engagement, this willingness to descend into hell and return, was not a retreat from reality, but the very foundation of his revolutionary psychological theories. He emerged not broken, but profoundly transformed, with a deeper understanding of the human soul and a renewed capacity to help others. His own journey illustrates that the most profound insights often lie beyond the edge of what we consciously know, and that true growth demands a willingness to venture into those unknown territories. While the journey of individuation is profoundly personal and solitary in its deepest aspects, Jung understood that no human being exists in a vacuum. The environment, our relationships, and the quality of our connections play a crucial role in how we navigate these internal trials. Just as a plant needs fertile soil and sunlight to flourish, the psyche requires a supportive container to process its transformations. Jung introduced the concept of the temenos, a sacred, protected space where the difficult work of psychological transformation can occur. In practical terms, this can manifest as a therapeutic relationship, a trusted friendship, or a community that understands and respects the depth of inner work. These connections are not about being fixed or saved, but about having witnesses, mirrors, and anchors during times of profound disorientation. They offer a vital external structure when internal structures are dissolving. Jung also spoke extensively about the dynamics of projection in relationships. During the soul's trial, as we integrate previously disowned aspects of ourselves, our relationships inevitably shift. Old patterns built on unconscious projections, where we needed others to carry parts of ourselves we couldn't acknowledge, begin to crumble. This can be painful, as some relationships may not survive the transformation. However, those that do, those that can adapt to the more authentic self emerging, become deeper, more real, and more sustainable. Protocol for navigating relationships. During transformation, cultivate conscious witnesses. Seek out individuals who can hold space for your process without judgment or the need to fix you. This might be a therapist, a mentor, or a deeply empathetic friend. Practice honest communication. While you may not have all the answers, communicate your internal shifts as best you can to those close to you. Explain that you are undergoing a profound process, even if you can't fully articulate its nature. Set boundaries. Protect your psychic space. The noise of external expectations and opinions can be overwhelming during this sensitive period. Learn to say no to demands that drain your energy. Recognize projections. Become aware of how you project your inner world onto others and how others project onto you. This awareness can help you navigate relational friction with greater understanding and less reactivity. These connections provide the necessary containment, allowing the intense heat of transformation to do its work without scattering the emerging self. They remind us that even in the most solitary journey, we are part of a larger human tapestry. The individuation process, particularly after traversing the soul's most difficult trial, leads to a profound and often unexpected transformation. It's not a return to a previous state, but an emergence into a more complete, more authentic version of oneself. Jung viewed this as the ultimate goal of human development, becoming the unique individual one is meant to be. The stages of this transformation, though non-linear, often include increased self-awareness, a deeper, more nuanced understanding of one's own motivations, patterns, and inner landscape. The unconscious becomes less of a foreign territory and more of a known, albeit vast, inner world. Greater authenticity, the ability to live more in alignment with one's true self, shedding the masks and personas adopted to meet external expectations. This often manifests as a quiet confidence and an inner sense of integrity. Enhanced resilience, not a hardening, but a greater capacity to navigate life's inevitable challenges with less reactivity and more inner stability. Having survived the deepest internal storms, external difficulties lose some of their power to overwhelm. Meaning and purpose, a renewed sense of meaning and purpose that emerges from within, rather than being imposed from outside. This often leads to a reevaluation of life's priorities and a deeper connection to one's unique contribution to the world. Expanded empathy, a profound understanding of the human condition, born from having faced one's own depths. This allows for a more compassionate and less judgmental engagement with the suffering of others. This transformation is the gift of the trial, the profound reward for having dared to descend into the depths. It is the emergence of a self that is less divided, less fragmented, and more capable of containing the vast paradoxes of human existence. It is, in essence, becoming a more complete human being. The journey of individuation is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong process. Having traversed the most difficult trial does not mean the path becomes entirely smooth. Jung warned against several common pitfalls and emphasized the need for continuous maintenance of one's psychological health. The danger of inflation. After a profound breakthrough, there can be a temptation for the ego to identify with the self, leading to a sense of grandiosity or spiritual superiority. This inflation can be as detrimental as repression, disconnecting the individual from the grounding reality of everyday life. Regression. The unconscious is a powerful force, and old patterns can reassert themselves, especially under stress. The work of integration is never truly finished, and vigilance is required to prevent a return to earlier, less conscious modes of being. The unlived life. Even after significant transformation, there can be a tendency to avoid fully embodying the new self, to shrink back from the implications of one's newfound authenticity. This can lead to a sense of stagnation or unfulfillment. Projection. The tendency to project inner contents onto others or the world never fully disappears. Continuous self-reflection is needed to withdraw projections and take responsibility for one's own inner world. To sustain the gains of individuation, Jung advocated for ongoing practices. Dream analysis. Continuing to engage with dreams as the primary language of the unconscious, offering ongoing guidance and insights. Active imagination. Maintaining a dialogue with inner figures and symbols, allowing the unconscious to communicate and contribute to conscious life. Self-reflection and journaling. Regularly examining one's thoughts, feelings, and experiences to maintain awareness and integrate new insights. Meaningful engagement. Actively participating in life, finding purpose in work, relationships, and creative expression, which helps to ground the inner work in outer reality. This continuous engagement is not a burden, but a commitment to living a life of increasing consciousness and authenticity. It is the ongoing work of becoming, a testament to the dynamic and ever-evolving nature of the human psyche. We began by questioning the nature of crisis, of those moments when the ground gives way. Jung's profound insights reveal that these are not merely breakdowns, but breakthroughs, the soul's most arduous trials, designed to dismantle the inauthentic and reveal the true self. If you have resonated with these ideas, if something within you recognizes this territory, then you have not merely survived a difficult period. You have undergone a profound initiation. The problem you faced, the crisis you endured, is not a flaw. It is a feature of an advanced psychological process. It is the crucible in which a more integrated, more authentic you is forged. You have navigated the depths, and in doing so, you have discovered an inner resilience, a core of being that transcends external circumstance. This is the signal almost no one sees, not a triumphant external display, but a quiet, internal knowing that you are capable of containing more, of being more than you ever imagined. If this message has touched you, if it has illuminated a part of your own journey, please leave a like on this video. Not for the algorithm, but as a gesture of recognition, a silent acknowledgement that this content found you at the right moment. And in the comments below, share just one thing. What was the moment in your life when you felt the soul's most difficult trial had arrived? Your words, however brief, hold immense power. This space is safe. Many who read your comment are traversing the very same territory. Your testimony can be a beacon, a quiet assurance to someone still in the depths that it is possible to continue. Subscribe now and activate the bell icon. Every week, we delve deeper into the profound wisdom of Jung, offering a different mirror to the self that lies beneath the surface. Until our next encounter, remember, the soul's most difficult trial is not the end of anything. It is the beginning of who you are when you stop pretending to be anything else. And that, in itself, changes everything.